Good afternoon, Hallie Spoor. Welcome on VH Berries.
Thank you so much. So good to be here, Victor. Appreciate you having me tonight.
I am extremely grateful that you stopped by to say hello because this year you performed a live show every 10 days, and it is so close to be a single digit number interval.
Oh, that is so cool that you counted all my shows. I really appreciate that. And the funny thing is too that I actually do the same thing because I don't know. It's hard as you know this, Victor. I think it's hard as an artist to count all of your wins because it's just a tough job. And so I keep a running tally of how many shows I've played in my little notes page in Apple, just to remind myself of the fact that, I am doing the thing. I am out here hustling. So, yeah, that's funny that you noted that.
Absolutely, Hallie Spoor, you're hustling because there are 34 shows stamped by Spoor since the beginning of this year, starting in January 5th. And I am wondering how you're doing today.
Victor, your question is very appropriate because I am tired today. I worked a full day at my day job, and now we're here doing this cool podcast. I have not eaten dinner yet. I rushed right home so that I could get this all set up, and that is the honest truth of how I am today. I'm really tired, but I'm also really excited to be here and happy and grateful to have this moment to talk about my art, and share with you all about the new album. And I'm playing another show, so you can add probably another 5 shows to your running tally before New Year's. Playing another show in Philly this weekend. So there's a lot going on, and I feel like I'm kind of running 150 miles an hour, but I am definitely grateful also to get to do my art. It's a privilege.
By adding those 5 additional shows, I am sure that we are now reaching that one number digit interval of days when it comes to the number of live shows that you did this year. And Hallie Spoor, I am sure that you're also excited when you are rethinking about your latest venue and concert that was located along the BMT Myrtle Avenue line near the Forest Avenue station.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that show that was a very special show for me, and I'll tell you why. There's so many reasons, but that show was the Heart Like Thunder album release show in New York, and it had been 3 years since I had released my second album in in January of 2020. So imagine the timing of that, right? It couldn't have been worse timing. So January 2020, released that album, and then COVID hit, and then I wasn't sure if I would ever get to do live music. That was such a scary time. And so so much to go into with that. But long story short, that album at Sundown Bar was the album release for Heart Like Thunder, and we were able to sell out the crowd. Even though it was a small bar, selling out in New York City is a big deal to me because I'm from Colorado, and building a live audience in a new city is challenging. And it was also a new band that I had played with, new musicians. So it was really a very proud moment for me. The band sounded so good. The crowd was so supportive, and the biggest accomplishment actually of that show for me was my ability to be fully present, because it's really hard on stage to, I guess, tap into your body and stay calm. In the past, in my, earlier in my career, in my 20s, it's very easy to kind of feel the adrenaline rush and like, have a shot of whiskey and go on stage and like feel that high. But I'm finding as I am getting older that it's so much more fulfilling to drop in and actually be calm, because then you can be really present with your crowd and present with your band, and feel the music. And I work, so many hours of my life providing for myself and my music, day jobs and other, like we mentioned, the hustle before. And so when I'm able to perform on stage, it's really important to me that I enjoy the hell out of it, because that's why I do this. And so that was the most proud moment for me, was being able to actually just really drop into my body and enjoy playing. That's really the point of why we do all of this.
This is, Hallie Spoor, the point of why you are doing it.
Yeah.
And if I understood correctly, you stopped drinking that little glass of water that is not water. And you actually played at this venue called Sundown Bar, located at 6838 Forest Avenue, front store B in the Queens.
Yep. Yeah. In Ridgewood, Queens. Yep.
Could you tell us a little bit more about this evening and these experiences? Because this is a very fresh event in your calendar.
Oh, absolutely. I think what really stands out to me about that evening in terms of the set list too, that was something else that I had spent a while honing, excuse me, was I had tried out that set list before in Denver, because I had an album release show in Denver at Dazzle, which is my hometown. And so I was able to kind of iron out all of the kinks in the set, and something else that's kind of, a new exciting challenge for me is to figure out, and these are the little minutia details of putting together a show that most people might not think about, but the transitions even between songs, thinking about what you're going to say before you start singing, thinking about if you're going to have the band playing background music while you're doing your transitions or not, or if it's going to be silent. All of those little details, I feel like it took me a long time in my music career to get to that point, but it feels really good to be at that point now, to feel like I have, control over the experience that I want my audience to have. So yeah, that was another fun detail about the night. And Sundown, here's another funny detail about that evening. So I love this. I think it's really fitting of New York. The room was so packed, but people were sitting in the front. And so like the bar, I mean, you could have, it was like such a fire hazard. But I think the room and the acoustic music just has a feeling of intimacy where people kind of want to quiet down and sit down and really just like, I don't know, experience the music in that way. But it was kind of funny because it's very much like a standing venue, you know, when you're in like a dive bar or a music venue and everybody's standing, you know, just picture as if everybody was sitting. I thought that was a really interesting part of the show as well. So another funny detail.
It is a very funny detail, Hallie Spoor, that led the audience to be very happy and satisfied because your artistic choices gave a timeless energy to this piece of art called Heart Like Thunder, exploring pain, longing, nostalgia, as well as gravity, soap, and shampoo.
Yeah, you're right. That's so funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, I always tell this anecdote before I start singing Heart Like Thunder. You know, mentioned shampoo because I actually had the idea for the song Heart Like Thunder when I was in the bathtub. And this was 10 years ago, and I had lost my voice before a big recital that I was supposed to sing. And I just felt so scared and out of control. And normally I wouldn't consider myself to be a particularly spiritual or affirmations, meditation, hippie guru kind of person. But I just had a really strong instinct about being in the water the night before the release. And so, or not release, the recital. And so I got into the bathtub and I submerged myself underwater and just kind of relaxed. And there was a moment where my ears were under the water, but my mouth was above the water. And so I could hear my heart beating. And it was just such a grounding moment for me. And, you know, just listening to my pulse, and I went through and I thanked all the different parts of my body for what they do in the world. You know, like, thank you, hands, for holding the hand of my mom. Thank you, feet, for walking in barefoot in grass in the summer. You know, all the different images that were flowing through my mind. I just kind of thanked my body and let go of control. And for a type A control freak like me, that's pretty challenging. But I was able to do it. And that really made all the difference for me. And the next day, you know, I didn't have a huge voice, but I had enough to get me through the recital. And when I started writing Heart Like Thunder, I thought back to that moment. So it's really about letting go of control, letting yourself have feelings, even though they might be dark. And yeah, allowing yourself to be in your body. I guess that's a common theme, you know, for the release show too. But yeah, that was the inspiration for that song. So it's funny that you picked up on that.
Absolutely, Hallie Spoor, allowing yourself to be in your body, and this moment in the bathtub where you could hear your own heart beating happened 10 years ago, but you only started writing the song around 1,000 days ago, which is equal to 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that is correct. I started writing Heart Like Thunder in 2020 during the pandemic. I survived, you know, kind of the brutal phase of the pandemic in New York, you know, March through till the middle of the summer, the first wave. And then I decided to get the hell out of New York because I had 3 roommates and we were all just going stir crazy. So I flew back to Colorado. And flying home, I wanted to be careful because this was, pre-vaccines. So I quarantined at a cabin that my family has 2 hours south of Denver in a town called Fairplay. It's about 30 minutes south of Fairplay in the mountains. And so I was by myself, no cell service, no Wi-Fi, no running water actually for the first couple days either. It's like a really off the grid cabin. And in those moments, I was able to kind of tap into my creativity and write. Though it wasn't perfect, I'll admit though, it is really hard, I think, as an artist to feel like you're constantly having to put out content. It's like just this, you feel like, sometimes I feel like a machine instead of an artist. And so the first couple weeks of my time in Colorado, I was very self-judgmental about, why am I not writing more? I have nothing but time. Why am I not feeling inspired? And then I just had a moment where I was like, Hallie, this is a global pandemic. Stop judging yourself for not writing. Like, we've been through so much in the last 3 years. So once I had that kind of realization, I just let go and I went for hikes with my parents' dog, Abby, who quarantined with me. And I just then was able to tap in a little bit more to my creativity once I forgave myself for, I guess the lesson there is to just try not to be so hard on yourself, because we've been through a lot in the last 4 years. And I don't think we've even fully realized that, but yeah, it's true. That was when I started writing the album, and it took me 3 years to finish the damn thing, but now it is out there and I'm so relieved. That's really the feeling I have, is just relief that it's out there and that, I can share it with everybody and start working on new songs.
Absolutely, Hallie Spoor. It took you 3 years to complete that piece of art, but probably 3 hours to capture the perfect album cover, because this is a very key element of Hurt Like Thunder, because we can see yourself sitting in a vast open field with a dark, overcasting sky above, and just next to you, a dog sitting closely by your side. That is, according to me, suggesting companionship and loyalty.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That's funny. I never thought of it that. I didn't think about it that way, but I think that's a good way of putting it. It's funny. So that photo shoot was at the cabin where I quarantined. I wanted the album cover to be, indicative of where the project started. Hold on one sec. Just got to make sure my silly computer is still good. Are you still with me, Victor?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My computer just fell asleep, sadly. But anyway, yeah, so that photo shoot was in a field outside the cabin with photographer Sierra Voss, who's located in Colorado. And that day was so crazy because, I'm in that white outfit and it's rainy all day. We're trudging through wet grass and mud to get to good spots. We did photos in an aspen grove. And then the last series of photos, I'm not sure if you saw, Victor, the cover for the single release, Heart Like Thunder, last year when I released the individual song rather than the full album. But that photo is taken inside a pond. So I'm fully submerged in a pond. And that pond was, 35, 40 degrees. I mean, really, really cold. You guys probably do Celsius in Montreal. So I don't know what that is in Celsius, but I'll tell you it's really cold. And yeah, so what a crazy, crazy day. But I'm glad that you picked up on that and got the feeling from the photo too that I was trying to evoke in the album.
In definitive, Hallie Spoor, those few milliseconds in the freezing cold waters felt like days and months. And to come back to that very powerful photograph, there is also your internal feelings that we can see through your eyes because you're directly looking at the listener and looking at us when we are opening the album in the streaming app. And we can read a very pensive and direct face and feeling that is very that is a translation of the authenticity of Heart Like Thunder.
Yes. I really like the way you put that, the authenticity piece. That's a very important part of who I am as an artist. Maybe even to a fault, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think that there's, how do I phrase it? There's just a lot of different characters you can play when you're an artist, an actor, a songwriter, when you're on screen or performing live. And I haven't really ever been able, aside from my, other artistic careers when I actually was doing some acting, but with my songwriting and with my band and playing my music live, there's no character or front. It is very much just who I am and me. Very earnest and sincere. And I think that folks in my, fans, I think they feel that too. And so if you like me as a person, you'll probably like my music. If you don't like me, you probably won't. And that's okay. Like, music is not for everybody. It's subjective. But I think that's part of the pain of the music industry too, when you're very authentically yourself, is that then when you receive rejection, it's business, but it is personal, So yeah, I try to wear my heart on my sleeve, be very honest with my feelings and with who I am, and be present for the folks that are listening.
Being present for the folks who are listening to Hallie Spoor, and through this very simple attire and the absence of extravagant details,
Yep.
You are putting, again, the focus on the raw and unadulterated emotions and stories conveyed on the road of County 458.
Yeah, that's the opening track to the record. Thank you for doing your homework, Victor. I appreciate you. Yeah, County Road. So that song actually, I don't know if you or your audience knows the famous album Bookends by Simon and Garfunkel. So the opening of Bookends is just a 1 minute, da 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 da. It's a beautiful little song, and it's 1 minute long, and that song always really haunted me. And I was done recording Heart Like Thunder, and then I just had this idea for this little song, and I just wanted a little intro song, and the line was, this is the end of something. What, I don't know. and that just came to me, and it was raining outside the cabin. And if you listen closely, you'll be able to hear some of that rain in the song. But yeah, that's the opening track, and I feel like it's just my kind of little bookend moment.
Absolutely, Hallie Spoor. This is one of your bookend moments, and I actually put some attention on the meaning of those words, country road, and I learned that it means an usually unpaved rural road
Yep.
off the main highway. Do you have this feeling to navigate on unknown steps?
I do. What a thoughtful question. Yeah, every album and every project that I do, I am trying something new. I'm taking a new risk. For example, the Heart Like Thunder album is very different from the album that I'm working on now. So I do feel like I'm always on unpaved roads as far as my artistry goes. Trying to find a new sound or excavate a new part of myself. Keep things interesting, keep things challenging. And it's uncharted territory. And that County Road 458, which is off of, if you're a Colorado person, it's off of 285 South in Colorado, off of Fairplay, and it is a dirt road. And some years it is difficult to drive, and some years it's not. But you definitely need 4-wheel drive. And I think that I guess I can, if I at the risk of sounding cheesy, I guess I can extend that metaphor to having the strength to take chances, and having the courage to try new things and make mistakes. There's always a lot of mistakes to make when you're starting a new album. Honestly, I feel like I always make so many different mistakes, and then you learn from those mistakes, and then you make new ones, and just kind of how it goes.
This is how it goes, Hallie Spoor, making numerous mistakes. And
Yep.
this very small and particular road is also maybe a way to say that the meaning of your lyrics are very complex to analyze and complex to access for the listener that is starting to enter the Spoor discography.
Oh gosh. Well, I hope that it's not too complex. I hope I know some of the metaphors are kind of tricky to understand, but overall I hope that the lyrics are relatable. That's the goal. You want people to be able to relate to what you're saying and be able to kind of envision themselves in your story.
Absolutely, Hallie Spoor, and very hopefully any person who is listening to Heart Like Thunder, following this country road 458, is going directly into Denver, Colorado, which is the place that you grew up in. Can you tell us a little bit more about the very beginning of this journey that was linked with music, but also opera and other form of art?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been singing since I was talking, basically. Much to my brother's chagrin. I think, listening to your sibling sing 24 hours a day constantly, I think can sometimes be challenging. So shout out to my wonderful brother. Anyway, so yeah, I've been singing forever. And then when I was around 9 or 10, my dad, said, okay, I think we need to get this girl into voice lessons because this might be a real part of her life. And so my dad put me in voice lessons, and I started singing jazz first with a jazz voice teacher in Denver. And then I auditioned to go to this arts high school, went to art school, always focusing on vocal performance. And then I went to college in LA for classical voice. And after college, I actually was singing opera in a few regional opera companies in Colorado. Opera Colorado, Boulder Opera Company, all of these, smaller, opera companies in the chorus. And I found actually during that time, I really loved opera, but I just started writing these songs, and I found that songwriting allowed me to express more of my creativity, whereas opera felt more like I was achieving kind of an athletic pursuit, because opera singers are like these Olympic athletes of these tiny, tiny little muscles, to have the voice to be able to compete against, a huge orchestra without a microphone, without any amplification. It's so impressive. And it really does feel like a very athletic feat. And so I kind of felt like someone else was the creative person, and then I was more of the executor of the creativity when I was doing classical music. And then through starting to write and put my band together and, rehearse in garages, like the old, the typical story, and then start playing shows, I just felt like more of my creative vision was able to come out that way. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about my background.
This is a little bit about your background, Hallie Spoor, and you have a passion for music, but also for this perfume of unleavened doof of wheat, also called pasta.
Oh my God, you're so right. Oh, that's so funny. I don't even know how you got that information, but you're right. Your words could not be truer. My love of pasta runs really deep. That also happened basically as early as I was singing. I was eating pasta. There's actually a plate of spaghetti. There's a photo of me asleep when I was like 4 years old in a plate of spaghetti. So yeah, gosh. And I do love to cook. That's one of the things that I enjoy doing in my downtime, when I'm not playing shows. And so I always like to do new recipes. I love making homemade pesto. I'll do pestos out of like basil or cilantro, or even like a winter pesto with kale or dill or something like that. So I'm so glad you noticed my love of pasta, Victor. Do you also have a love of pasta?
Absolutely, Hallie Spores. I am also enjoying this food called pasta.
Yes.
And I have a suggestion,
Oh my
which
gosh,
is
please,
to
give it to
create a new brand of pillows that is filled with spaghettis, because it is personally approved by yourself to be a very good way to sleep.
It's true. It's a very good way to sleep. It's warm. The smell is very delicious. 10 out of 10 recommend.
In conclusion, Hallie Spoor, could you tell us a little bit more about Geraldine?
Yes, I will, Victor. Thank you for asking. Geraldine. She said, you know, life can be hard. There is salt inside every smile, but the tears, my dear, make it all worthwhile. And I know things don't always go our way. God laughs at all of the plans we make. And I know you think of me every day, but I say I'm gonna be okay. And the boys she loved fell to their knees when they heard her laugh, loud like the breeze. It's not that easy for me, not like Geraldine. And I know things don't always go our way. God laughs at all of the plans we make. And I know you think of me every day, but I say I'm gonna be okay. A year ago, he left with the snow, and the memories melt all on their own. And I'm happy now, happy and alone.
Thank you very much, Hallie Spoor.
You are so welcome, Victor. Thank you for having me.